The Lord is much better to mankind than we give him credit for. In the Christian and Jewish traditions, there is sometimes this view that the Lord is so strict, so burdensome, he requires a lot from us, that we walk perfectly, measure every step just right. But that is not true. It's a misunderstanding of God. If you want to understand the Lord truly, look at what he designed. After he put Adam in the garden, created him on the sixth day, and said of his creation, "It is very good." He put Adam in the garden, the paradise, said, "You can eat anything you want except that one tree. You can go do whatever you want. Here are the keys. The earth is yours. Care for it. Tend to the animals. This is your dominion. Be fruitful and multiply." That's it. Didn't have to have any religious rituals and go to any temple or any service or bring up offerings. Freedom. Just do this one thing. It was only because Adam has proven to be not trustworthy, listening to a stranger's voice rather than the king, rather than his owner, the landlord, the lord of the land, that he got kicked out of the land. Well, it's kind of like your kid when you have a stranger that comes by and say, "Hey kid, want some candy?" "Oh boy, do I." It's not good. How can you trust such a child if he goes after any voice that speaks to him? So the Lord had to chastise his children, his people, and teach us obedience. Yeshua said, "My sheep know my voice, and a stranger's voice they will not heed." Well, that wasn't the case with Adam. Nevertheless, after being kicked out of the garden, him and his wife were told to, well, go ahead, be fruitful and multiply, as I've said before. They still had a tremendous amount of freedom. The whole earth was theirs. They were perfectly made by God. No genetic diseases or disorders. Didn't need to get their insulin shots or any daily treatments and supplements and medication. They were fine. They were perfect. And they lived to be 900 plus years in a world that has barely seen decay. Only difference was, well, now there's thorns and thistles, and you're gonna have to walk the land. But there was mist coming out from the land. There were no droughts. There were no famines. The weather was very mild and consistent. No crops were destroyed. No swarms of locusts. No extreme heat, extreme cold, frost bites, sun cancer cells, all of that mess. The land was pretty much close to perfect. The magnetic field, the ozone layer, whatever it was, we have no idea. But the earth allowed for the sustenance of humanity for such an extended lifespan. And well, things went sour. And once again, humanity has proven they cannot be given such liberty. Because, as we know from Genesis chapter 6, mankind has become so evil, all of the imaginings of their hearts were evil only, all day long. And the Creator regretted putting mankind on the earth. And so he sent a worldwide flood to wipe it all off. It's like, no. He's given us all of this freedom, he's given us such abundance, and we still took it and did evil instead of good. Despite all the blessings, we've only done wrong. And after the flood, he said, now things are going to change quite a bit. Whereas before you were friends with the animals, now I'm going to put the fear of you in the animals. They will fear you. And, well, your lifespan is going to be reduced significantly from 900 plus to 120 at best. And, well, they still turned against the Lord, showing that even that freedom was too much, building a Tower of Babel, uniting as one against him. And the Lord came and saw that they were all in one speech, and they used that speech to come together and increase wickedness. And so he confused, he babbled their language, dividing them, not to conquer, but to save. He originally wanted us to live as one big happy family. The Lord is one. The heavenly array is one. But mankind is so evil, he decided to divide us. And ultimately, we were now fighting each other, turning against each other, nation against nation, tribe against tribe. And even then, that wasn't enough for us to get the point and do what's right, because all nations have gone astray, which is why the Lord chose Avram, calling him Avraham, to be the father of many, to create a type of new humanity, a new lineage, a covenant people. This time it's going to be God's special treasured possession, a people set aside for himself. The rest of the nations chose not to remain faithful. This one's going to be his. And even then, the people of Israel in Egypt went astray. They were in Egypt, but they forgot their identity. They did not follow in the footsteps of Abraham. They assimilated, got themselves into captivity. And when they cried out, the Lord delivered them out of slavery, but they still went astray. And as soon as they got to the desert, they built a golden calf. They wanted to return to captivity. They just did not get it. And they kept testing the Lord until he's had enough and said, "None of you who have seen all of my miracles, my signs, my wonders, my power, and my glory, and still refuse to trust in me, will enter the land which I promised to your fathers. Only your children." Because they just did not listen. And so the children got into the land, the promised land, a type of a refurbishing the Garden of Eden. And they still did not listen. Given all of this blessing, the promises of health and fruitfulness and abundance, if you just follow the words of this Torah, he gave them a strict code and regulations to follow. Just abide by this. That's it. You still can have all the freedom you want. You can do whatever, go wherever, choose your occupation, choose your wife. You can choose all of these things. Just live your life according to this set of rulings and instructions I have given you. That's it. That was the purpose. Be in the land. Just be my people. But they still did not do it. And as we read in the book of Judges, in those days there was no king in Israel, and each man simply did what was right in his own sight, which was evil. And so eventually they came to Samuel and said, "We want a king." And the Lord actually said, "Well, I think that's a good idea." The Lord accepted it. Why? Because these people would simply not listen. It's not that he wanted them to have a king. He wanted to give us freedom, not to be slaves to a man who will be taskmaster, helicopter kingship over us, charge taxes and send our sons to war and daughters to be his maids. No, but the Lord allowed it because he said, "Well, you're gonna need a good spanking because you're not getting it. I keep chastising you, but you're still not getting it, so things have to get even worse for you. Now you really are going to be slaves. You're gonna have a man ruling over you. I wanted you to just be my people, just live according to my ways and have the freedom to do whatever you want. But that wasn't enough, so now you're gonna be a kingdom." And even after the king, they went astray. And so the kingdom got divided in two, fighting each other, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And they still went astray. And so the northern kingdom got kicked out into exile, the diaspora, and eventually the southern kingdom got kicked out. And whereas before they were one nation, the kingdom of Judah, when they came back from exile, now they were divided into 4 sects. You had the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Zealots and the Essenes. Even less freedom. And now they were under foreign pagan rule, whereas before they had autonomy. Now they were slaves to Babylon, Persia, Greece, the Romans. And they still did not get it. Yeshua came to deliver them, to release them from this bondage, to bring them back to the Father, deliver them from the wages of their sins. And they rejected him. As a general rule, not everybody, but the mainstream of the kingdom of the Judeans. And so they got sent into another exile for 2,000 years, where those 4 sects that were back then got divided into hundreds of different little denominations and sects, Ashkenazi and Sephardi and Orthodox and Ultra-Orthodox and Hasidic and Reform and you name it. And out of the Messianic movement came out, well, the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church and the Coptic Church, and then the Protestant movement, who came up with thousands of other denominations and sub-denominations and sects and Jehovah's Witness and Mormonism. And out of that came even Islam, and out of Islam came the Sunni and the Shiites, and and you can see the trend. No matter what God gives us, we prove that we are just not trustworthy. We go astray, we keep rebelling, we keep doing what is evil, what is wicked, and He just has to tighten the noose. It's like, there's still too much room for you. I'm going to tighten it and tighten it and tighten it and tighten it until you have no room to breathe. And you do exactly what I move and how I teach you to do, just like He told in Isaiah 28. Tzav letzav, kav lekav, zeir po, zeir sham. Have to teach you like toddlers, like babies, barely weaned out of breast milk. What do you say? Law to the law, precept by precept, line by line, a little here, a little there. Isaiah 28, 29. Because that is what we have come to. He wanted to treat us as adults, really, to give us freedom and liberty to do as we will, as long as we will be in accordance with what His will is. He told us in Micah, He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That's it. Real simple. That's it. Just do that, and you can do whatever you want. You can go here, go there, buy this property, go and work in this occupation, eat this fruit, eat that. Freedom. But we have proven we cannot be trusted. But Yeshua said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And yet, it seems to be the opposite, isn't it? Because we are, just like I've said, unworthy of freedom. Why should the Lord give us freedom? We have proven we are not trustworthy. It's like a dog on a leash. All of you dog people. You get a stray dog, well, first thing you do, you can't even put him on a flexible leash or else he might come too close to you and bite you. You gotta put him on one of those wooden leashes that is constant, keeping him at length from you. He cannot move further or closer. He has to remain exactly where he is. And you push that wooden thing and he better move. That's a dog you cannot trust. That's a strange dog, a foreign dog, an unruly dog. A dog that is not used to a yoke. That is what it is said about Ephraim, Israel. They were not used to a yoke. They acted as an unruly wild stallion. And then when the dog is broken in a little bit, he gets used to you. He knows that you feed him. He stops trying to attack you. Then you can put him on a little bit of a flexible leash, a regular leash that has, like 6-10 feet. He can get close to you, and he can get a little, but he can't get too far because, well, he still cannot be trusted. He's still kind of a wild dog. But after he's a little bit more trained, a little bit more tamed, he recognizes your voice, he obeys your command. When you say, come here, boy, he comes right up. You say, sit, he sits. You say, roll over, he rolls over. You say, well, you listen to me. Well, I'm going to give you a treat. I'm going to give you one of those leashes that extends a little bit. The ones that roll back in on the spring. Still on a leash, but he has more leeway. He can get a little further away and have some more room to explore the world around him. And eventually, if he's faithful and obedient and trustworthy and He does everything right. He listens to you. He does not go off. He does not fight with other dogs. He's not chasing off little children, biting off little cats or whatever. If you see, wow, he listens, he's obedient, I'm going to take the leash off of you now. And now the dog walks right next to you without a leash because he is trained, he is obedient, he listens to you, he respects you, he follows you wherever you go. Even if he goes a little bit over there to smell that bush or this bush, as soon as you call him or whistle, he comes right back, drops whatever he's doing, and comes right back and stands at your feet. You tell him sit down, he sits down. You tell him stay, he stays. You can go all the way to the other side, he's just gonna sit there and wait until you tell him to get up and come. Because he's that faithful, you can trust him. A dog like that doesn't need a leash. You know that your word is his command, and he will obey. This dog has freedom, but his freedom still is dependent on his obedience. It's not freedom from obedience, it's freedom to obey. He doesn't need to be on such a strict order. And that was the goal. That is what Adam was created to be. Not to be on a leash, to have freedom. But he has proven, well, he's not trustworthy. Imagine if you tell your dog to stay and somebody else comes, hey dog, come here. And the dog just gets up and go. He just listens to anybody and everybody. Would you trust a dog like that? No. That's as they say, letting the cat guard the cream. Would you trust a cat? No. I would never trust a cat. I would trust a trained dog before I trust a cat, but I wouldn't trust a dog either. Unless he's extremely trained and I've known him and he's my dog, but nevertheless. Adam has proven to not be trustworthy. If you listen to anyone, how can the Lord trust you to leave you alone and let you be? So we have to be tested. And you see that all over Scripture, the Lord gives us one command and then somebody else comes to tell you something different. See if you're going to listen. Don't be mad at the person telling you something else. They can do whatever they want. And so can you. You don't have to listen. Just because the adulterous woman comes and says, sleep with me, doesn't mean you have to. Look at Joseph. He was framed for trying to rape her when really she tried to rape him, but he did not yield to temptation. And eventually he was abundantly rewarded, became the second in command to Pharaoh, pretty much the king of Egypt himself, over the greatest empire of his day, because he was faithful. Abraham was faithful. He left his father's house, he listened, he obeyed. He was told he was going to get a son, he believed. He was willing to give back that son. He trusted, he obeyed. And the Lord, after testing him, he said, all right, I can trust you. I'm going to bless you and give you all of the things that I've promised you. The Lord does that. How else would he know? The Lord tests the heart. We say that, we don't know what it means. That is what it means. He's going to test your heart. You're going to go through the fire and see if you obey. That is what it means, the Lord tests the heart. It's not some mystical, spiritual thing. You're going to go through the fire and see, like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, testing the heart. Unless you bow down to my statue, like Nebuchadnezzar said to them, you're going in the fire. They said, well, we're not going to bow. Our God can deliver us, but even if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow. And they were thrown in the fire, and the Lord rescued them from the fire as a testimony. Now, does he rescue everybody? No. We know the Christians were thrown to the lions and they were eaten alive. But still they were rescued because those Christians, which really were Messianic Jews, already knew there is a resurrection coming. And they knew this body is temporary. And they were willing, just like the Mashiach that they followed, they were willing to lay down their physical earthly life for the glory of God. To be a witness to their faith. I will not denounce you, Lord, even to the point of death. I believe in Yeshua, my Lord, my Savior, my God. That is someone you can trust. Oh wow, they're not even willing to, deny me to save their own lives? I can trust them. And that's the kind of person that the Lord looks on with favor. That's the kind of person who will be given the crown of life the kind of person who will rule over God's creation because he can be trusted. He is faithful and obedient. He is an overcomer. He loves the Lord with all of his heart, and he will be abundantly and eternally blessed. So why don't you be that kind of person? Do not despise the Lord's rebuke. Remember, he rebukes the one he loves. You're gonna start off on that wooden leash because you're just that crooked and pervert. You cannot walk a straight line. He has to put you on a wooden leash. But as you grow, as you mature, as you become disciplined, chastised, as you suffer, you will learn obedience. And slowly but surely, the leash will become a little bit more lenient, and then a little bit more giving, till eventually you wouldn't need to be on any leash, and you will just walk with the Lord in the Spirit, perfectly, living according to His ways, in a world without sin, which is the new creation. So be encouraged. Yes, we suffer, but it is for our own good that we do, that by suffering we shall learn obedience. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path.